That's a good cook.
Judge Judy didn't show you
Takes
this
good care of us.
She does. Aside from making wonderful soap.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the regular meeting of the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission. Today is November the 19th, 2024, at 6 p.m. All right, we're going to do a quick roll call, and we will start here with
Beth Gildner.
Sam Dudley.
Aaron Borey.
Mark Ingram.
Ruth Goodwin Hager.
Rod Gray.
Ruth Mitchell.
We're all here. Wonderful. Okay, I'm assuming everybody got a copy of the agenda. I'm looking over here to see where it is. Anybody have any discussions or any thoughts on the agenda? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second.
Motion from Beth, second by Ruth. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. Okay. Then we have the next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from our previous regular meeting, which was from October the 15th. Anybody have any discussion or any thoughts on that?
Nope.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah.
There's a good thing. I move to approve the meeting minutes from the October 19th,
Second.
15.
15.
sorry, 15th, 2024.
A motion from Ruth, second from Rod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Motion 5 to 0. I'm going to sign this and get this. Okay. Next item, public comments. We have a couple of publics here, so I'll let them comment.
They're very bright.
So
The lights are really
things
bright.
may somewhat have changed. I was planning to give a talk based on what I heard in the last meeting, but I think some of that may have changed. But what I wanted to talk about was the gravity shuttles.
Oh, no, sorry, it's really bright.
It's hard to look at you.
I know, it's really.
Okay, so, and I was kind of surprised to hear there was about this talk about doing it in-house, because I was on the commission before we signed the contract with Slaughter, and the director, this is previous to Sam, was constantly for months coming in and complaining about having to do this in-house, of shuttle drivers not showing up, and then having to pull people off other projects to put in. So I think the fact that you have this downhill shuttle, it created a problem of how to handle that, and there's not an easy solution to it. I'm not advocating for one position or the other, but I hope you'll really, before you make any decisions, consider all the pros and cons, because they're going to be present in any decision you make. And then I also wanted to comment on something that wasn't brought up at the meeting, but it was in a presentation that Sam gave to the commissioners that I FOIA'd and got a copy of, about the shuttle drivers. And it was there was one slide in there that was talking about moving the shuttle parking area down to the ball fields. And I don't know if that is still being considered, but that is something I really do want to object to. It was tried before, again, very recently. I mean, when I was on the commission, which is, I've been off the commission for less than 2 years, so it's not that long ago. But it caused so much problems having it down there. And it's likely to be even worse now. Now you have the soccer up and running more fully. You have the baseball contract just signed. So it takes up a lot of parking space down there. But it also, the people who were coming off the gravity were coming back to their cars and wanting to have a little tailgate and party. And that was kind of offensive to some of the families who were coming out there with their kids to recreate in that area. And also, there's a track that goes around the ball fields and it comes back by the stream. It's paved, it's really fairly level. So a lot of people with limited mobility like to walk on that. And it doesn't mix well with having bikes getting from the parking lot to the bridge so they can get up to the shuttle pickup. So it creates some problems, and I mean, I know we have the downhill, but I just hope we don't prioritize that to the expense of other users of the park. And Mark, I don't know where I'm with my 3 minutes. I have just one other quick comment.
Yeah.
So I think this may have come up, but Slaughter had 2 contracts. One was for the shuttle, but there was another one signed a few months before, which was for putting on events. And it said in there they should provide 3 to 5 events a year. And I know they've been doing the Enduro, but I don't believe they've been making 3 events a year. So I'm just mentioning that as something you may want to address if it hasn't been already.
We are, thank you. All very good points, thank you. Any other comments? All right. I'm gonna, chairperson's comments, I'm gonna actually have some today. I want to address something that I think is really interesting because, you know, we do have a society of keyboard warriors and everybody quick to put stuff on the internet without ever calling, without ever texting, without asking questions. So I'm just saying this to the public. You know, somebody posted something about the Basin Park and the fountain and how bad it's getting. And I just think it's funny that they just assume that we have no idea about that. That they are so brilliant that they saw it, but nobody on the board or on the commission or in the city council or the CAP, none of us ever just noticed that. Yes, we know it. If you want to know what's going on with it, please pick up the phone and call any of us, call Sam, call the mayor for that matter, and we'll tell you what's going on with it. We're very aware that that is a problem. It just gets very aggravating to start seeing negative, hateful things passed back and forth on Facebook about our town that we love and that we advertise and we try to get people to come to see, and you start posting negative stuff when in fact we are obviously concerned about it and doing things about it. Just because you don't know what we're doing doesn't mean it's not being done. All right, that was my rant for the day. And we will move on to Sam Dudley's director's report.
No comment on your comment, although I want to comment on your comment, but I won't. I will hold back.
Hold back.
Yeah, so director's report. Out at Lake Leatherwood, October and early November so far have been great months for us in terms of boat rentals and lodging. We are well on track to surpass the $200,000 mark for lodging and the $150,000 mark for general sales, which
It's fantastic.
I don't know if you, general public probably doesn't know what our budget is right off the top of our head, but it's we budgeted for 150 in lodging and 100 in sales, so you know we're $100,000 above that. We've also begun the process of refurbishing the exterior of Cabin 1, which includes replacing a bunch of rotten siding and then repainting it. So really hoping it kind of freshens up the outside. The inside's really nice, but the outside just looks kind of rough, so we're hoping to tie that over. Renovation of the baseball field has begun. Victor Smith helping out a lot with the volunteer labor and arranging for dirt deliveries and stuff like that, so he's been great. The team is still accumulating donations from local businesses to assist in funding for the remainder of the work, and the school district actually got us a check for $7,200 this week, I believe. So just a big shout out to all the local businesses and the kids for, you know, the team for getting those and organizing that, but also for the local businesses for actually making the donations. At Black Bass, we completed the removal of about 12 to 15 invasive mimosa trees. These are pretty aggressive trees and they're not really native, and if you let them get away, they just take over. So thank you to Glenna Moore and of course Jeremy and Noah from the park staff for helping out with that. Harmon Park, you know what we're doing there. The apartment building continues to continue. Sheetrock is complete and we'll begin painting as soon as we're done with Christmas decorations. We got the gas checked out. That was a whole nother thing. We didn't know where the meter was. Turns out it's in the dog park. They had to do a pressure test, which we got all that done, so it's fine. But just keeps on happening. At Basin Park, we have submitted, oh yeah, speaking of which, we have submitted a request for proposal from the Banks Family Foundation to complete a number of projects throughout the park. This includes redoing the stairs from the gazebo up to the upper bluff, the planting of several trees. We had to remove a tree today, actually. I'm sure people will notice, but it was pretty much gone and it was leaning over the road, so we had someone remove that for us. But we are hoping to replant another tree there very soon. We're also trying to put together an RFP for the repairs to the Basin Park fountain substructure. So once I get that, I'll probably just email Mark and make sure you're okay with all the details and put it out there. Obviously, an RFP is just show us what you can do, show us what you got, and then once we get that, I'll come to the whole commission and say, hey, do we want to do this? Do we not want to do this? And lastly, at Basin Park, we have received 4 of the 10 plaques purchased for the bench dedications. We haven't installed them yet, obviously, but the contractor we're going to use said he can start on or after December 10th. So that's happening. Give Ruth a little side stare there.
I know, look, I made a note right here, check to Sam. I haven't written my check for that yet.
And that's about it for now. We pretty much heads down with Christmas decorations, so.
Okay. So that's all of your actual report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have any old business. One thing that we don't have on here is any committee report. For some reason, it's not on this. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm just totally missing that, sorry. Committee reports. The Finance Committee does not have anything to report. We're going to obviously be in the big budget talks here in the next 6 weeks to 8 weeks, so we have to get that all done. But there's not really anything. They did request a lot of information for our audit, right?
Not really. No, not too much. It was
No.
pretty
Pretty basic.
simple.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So then, what's nothing really for that. Old business, none. New business, so we'll just get started on that. Update list on safety deposit box at Cornerstone Bank. I think that Sam's got some comments about that.
Yeah, we just, we came across, well, we got billed for the rental of the deposit box, and I was like, what's in this deposit box? And me and Nikki started talking, and we were like, we don't even know. And so we called up there, and Andrea said that Nikki is on the account, I think. I'm not sure. He may or may not be, but I was not on the account, obviously. And 2 people who are no longer working for Parks or on the Parks Commission were on there. So we need to just update that list.
do.
And so
Did
once
she-
we have those minutes signed, we'll take it up to Andrea, and she can process that, and then we can see what's in the Chamber of Secrets.
Maybe nothing. But I do think that that's a point that we need to make every year when we do new officer elections, that we make sure that's included as part of the updated minutes for our bank accounts and everything else.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if y'all noticed on the next one, the supporting notes that Sam put in there, just a sort of a suggested sort of motion so that it makes sense what he's asking us for. Did you happen to notice that?
I do see that, it's very nice. Can we make that motion?
Yeah.
I move to update the authorized user list on the safety deposit box at Cornerstone Bank, or CS Bank, to the following Parks employees: Nikki Boyette and Samuel Dudley. All other users should be removed from the list.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Ruth, second by Rod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And that's kind of important to get that motion exactly like it is on.
Gotcha. You're a beast. Look at this guy.
All right, so the next item is renaming trails at Lake Leatherwood Bike Park. You talked to that a little bit about that, and I guess you did a little boat thing, and several people came in, and
Yeah, it was a fun thing to do. It was just sort of like, hey, here's some general themes for what we could name them. And the mythical creatures won out, so it's kind of a fun way to get people involved with the naming of the trails. So I don't know if y'all are familiar, but ever since the downhill trails were created, they've just been named DH1, DH2, DH3. And that's all well and good. It's easy to explain those, but it's also hard to sell a T-shirt or something that just says DH3. It's like,
DH3.
it's kind of a little bit boring. I mean, it's good for explaining what it is, but it's, we're just hoping to kind of,
Although I'm not sure I'm going to wear one that says I did skunk ape.
That's a crazy name.
Swamp stalker. These are great names.
yeah, so actually, Nick Castor over here, who's in the crowd, he's the handsome man
Oh,
back
he's
there.
you?
He and his wife,
Love it.
once they heard that, I was thinking about doing this, he reached out and they came up with some names. And
I love it.
these are all actually like different terms for Bigfoot. So as you know, like Bigfoot's sort of synonymous with Leatherwood now since we have the big statue down there, the Bigfoot statue. And so these are all just sort of like different terms and different cultures for Bigfoot. And the plan is to work with Jamie Brandt from Custom T-Rex to draw up some designs, and then also he will, if he does the design and makes the T-shirts, like we pay him through the sale of the T-shirts. So really the artwork will be free so long as we buy some kind of merchandise from his store. So it's a good way to make a little extra money and, commemorative items for people who show up. And
So what you're looking for us is sort of approval of these names.
yeah, and I'll go over them. I'm just a little embarrassed, so I'm procrastinating. So
Well, you gotta
yeah, so I'm proposing that we change the names of the trails from DH1 to Yowie Rocks, DH2 to Ogre Run, and that is a purposeful misspelling because it's like OG,
Okay.
the original gangster trail. DH3 to Troll Bridge, DH4 to Skunk Ape, DH5 to Swamp Stalker, DH6 to Shreddy Yeti, and DH7 to Cyclops Drops.
I don't know that any are that embarrassing. I don't know, the Swamp Stalker, I'm not sure I love that one, but I think.
I like that name. I think it's cool. And Shreddy Red.
Oh, you can come with some
that's-
really cool artwork for that.
Well, that's the only one I hadn't.
Creepy
Yeah.
in the background.
Was that an original? I mean, I've actually heard a lot of the others for as names for Bigfoot. I've never heard that one. Is that one, did you make that one up, Nick, or is that like a real? Is that
It's
a real
cool.
nickname?
I think Google might have made it up.
Google might have made it up. It's okay, I like
So
it.
do we want a motion for this?
Well, I mean, does everybody have any thoughts? Anybody have any they don't like, they do like? I want to make sure there's plenty of discussion before we actually.
I like them because I like it's
I like them.
Trails.
Bigfoot. but
Yeah, I
it's
think they're
also got
fun.
A term that's, goes along with downhill.
makes-
It's appropriate.
I can
for the
actually see the
audience.
shirts already, so it
Yeah.
makes-
Yeah, me
Now,
too.
They all fit for branding, so
Yeah.
I think it's good.
And and the whole Bigfoot, the whole state of Arkansas, and all, it's not just our park, it's everybody here, so it's good.
Yep.
yeah, so
Good show.
then if nobody has any issues, then we can,
Someone can make the motion, but you have to repeat all those things like Sam did.
Oh, I'm going to make you guys, I'm going to make one of you guys.
Rod
repeat
has
it.
to do it.
I move to approve the renaming of Lake Leatherwood Bike Trails 1 through 7 as were read by Sam Dudley to be approved.
I second the motion.
So do we don't, you don't want to go through 1 through 7 and make sure you,
You want me to rename all that?
And I think you should,
I think
say.
we want you to do that.
I think you should say downhill,
DH1
yeah, say
is
downhill in your motion. yeah.
DH1 is Yowie Rocks. DH2 is Ogre Run. DH3 is Troll Bridge. DH4 is Skunk Ape. DH5 is Swamp Stalker. DH6 is Shreddy Yeti. And DH7 is Cyclops Drop.
yeah,
Right.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I like that.
Okay. Next item, which I'm kind of excited to hear this discussion.
Me too.
Is the contract for shuttle operations with the Gravity feed. It seems that there's been some update to the direction, and it seems kind of cool. So I guess Sam's going to talk to us about it.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick intro and then I'll have Nick come up and answer any questions that y'all might have. So after canceling the contract with our prior provider, I've had several productive conversations with Nick Castro. He's the owner and operator of the Gravity Feed, which for all, just being transparent, he was the former subcontractor working under the last provider. While I still like the idea of us running the operations in-house, it seems like that could be a risky endeavor. Given the inevitable changes in the economy we might, we're about to see. In addition, we have several projects that we'd like to prioritize above shuttle operations, such as the construction of a new bathhouse and the subsequent restoration of the historic bathhouse. So I went ahead and made up a contract, basically went through the last one that we made and just modified it and honestly kind of simplified it because the previous person wanted a lot of like really detailed things in there and I didn't feel like they were super necessary. So I went ahead and modified. You will see there's a change in the amount, and I think this is probably a good thing because what it does is it incentivizes, of course, Nick has the incentive because he's his own business to bring as many people in as possible, but it also puts a little bit of like skin in the game for us too, so we can't just like, because they're still our trails, we need to take care of them and provide for them. So, yeah, essentially, if you guys have any questions, I'll just let you ask away.
I have a couple of thoughts on it real quick. I'm actually really happy because, I was reluctant for us to get back into that business that we went to so much trouble to get out of. I agree with Sue's comments on that. This is sort of some detailed stuff, and we kind of had a interim way to operate this between now and the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So can we take the time to sort of read this real closely, and if we have any questions about the contract or amounts or anything like that, we can maybe discuss it between now and then just vote on to approve it at the next meeting?
I mean, yeah.
Are you in a
it's
hurry?
y'all, no, I mean, it's y'all's decision. I mean, if you,
Are you- I mean,
I don't think there's anything,
There are some dollar amounts and things that are, obviously affect the budget and stuff like that. Or do you just want to really highlight the big parts of this and just that matter?
well, I mean, number one is sort of the biggest one. So the way we would structure it was be $500 per month guaranteed. Then on top of that would be 10% of gross revenue from shuttle operations at LLBP, that is. Nick was saying that he does plan to, I don't know why this didn't update. I thought I updated that. Just to clarify, this will be updated to say the second sentence would be TGF also agrees to pay ESPRC 10% of its gross revenue from shuttle passes for LLBP. So, I mean, for example, if Nick were to like do a tour at Passion Play,
Right.
he obviously is not
We're not
going to like,
Right.
yeah. So that's the big thing. And one cool thing that Nick has done is, at least cool for us and making sure we're working on the same platform and promoting each other is, he got a Fair Harbor account, which is the same reservation system we use. So we can actually like integrate our systems into where if someone is like, hey, I want to book a shuttle pass, he can also have on there like, hey, you can also book a cabin down at Lake Leatherwood, or vice versa. If someone's on our site and they say, hey, I want to book a cabin at Lake Leatherwood, oh, there's also these shuttle passes. So it kind of helps to cross-promote, cross-pollinate.
So how much does this differ from the previous contract?
Well, I crunched the numbers, and the previous contract was a guaranteed 15.
Per quarter.
That was 15,000 a year.
15
1,000 a
annually.
year.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That's right, 15.
15,000 annually. And this would be, it's only 6,000 guaranteed annually, but it's also the 10% gross revenue, which means, we're looking at probably on a good to decent year, bringing in about 12. I do feel like maybe the last contract was, I don't think it was over, like, I don't think we were asking for too much because this last contractor had these big ambitions to, create a bike park and incorporate the motel at the top of the downhill trails and all that. I do like this one a little better because, it was never our intention to make the payment so high that someone couldn't operate. Like, we're not trying to run anyone out of business. Like, we want to make sure it's feasible. And this helps, because there are slow months. I mean, Nick knows. I mean, August is terrible.
We had 45 riders all of August.
45 in all of August. So, I mean, that's a bad month. But then we have great months, too. So this kind of helps say, hey, he can budget better. He says, hey, I owe 500 no matter what. But on those good months, we're bringing in 200 riders or something like that.
We had 250 riders in October, I think, close.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a great
So what's the math on that?
250 riders last month, you said?
month. Times 6. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at $800 to parks, if I'm just doing the quick math in my head. So 500 plus 8, 1,300, which is more than we were making from the last person. So on good months, we're making more. On slower months, obviously, we're not making as much. But
It just helps.
it helps him budget.
Well, I think too, one of the things that, like I said, we don't, it doesn't do us any good to be in business with somebody and then we hurt them, we keep them from being able to make money. I mean, we want you to make money, that's all,
Yeah.
for sure. The other thing is, about we want it to be a partnership in that we can help you make more money and that you're helping yourself make more money. And that's what we thought was going to happen in the last round, obviously, and that just didn't happen. I don't care what the reasons are, it just didn't happen.
Exactly.
So, if we could be supportive and help, and we don't have to jump in the middle of this right now, I do think it benefits all of us not to be
Yeah, which helps. I
in the
just bought brand
business
new
of
equipment.
shuttles, so.
Well, I think especially since, even though Slaughter had the contract before, Nick was the boots on the ground guy doing everything out there for the most part.
I've been boots on the ground for 5 years out here with you guys, either
For a long time,
through
yeah,
parks
everywhere.
or
Yeah,
through somebody else.
you just know, you already know how things work out there. I don't have any, or I have no reservations about knowing that you know what you're doing, in other words, so that's kind of nice to know. This contract should say, let Nick do what he knows is best, not really, actually, but
That's what I said.
Yeah, why not? So I feel like as long as we all look at it, make sure that we consult with it,
Yeah,
feel safe.
I mean,
And I want to put on events. That helps brings more people to the park. It helps bring in more people for the shuttles. I have a summer series I really want to put on bad. I've been wanting to put on for 3 years now. So
Yeah. Obviously, Nick, having, doing what he does for how long he's done it for, he does have good connections with certain people who can help us put on events and
yeah,
get
that's what we
those.
want to do. We
Yeah.
got to get back, we got to get to that, what we thought was going to happen. And
Yeah.
I would say Sue Hubbard did mention that, and we did believe, Ruth and I don't think you were here yet, but Sue was here, and we did believe that we were going to see more activity in terms of events, because that was what was sold to us.
Yeah,
And
this-
I
this
don't
might be-
recall there ever being, in that 2-year time, 3 year maybe, that, do you recall one? Maybe one?
Slaughterama and
Yeah.
and the AES race.
Yeah, But,
Do that.
yeah, not anything like what we thought was going to happen. So I would love to see us get back into that mode of whether we're doing it, and doing
Yeah,
it
it
with
helps
you
grow the
or
park.
whatever,
Brings more people.
doing that kind of thing.
Well, I also like the idea that, if you think about you being a contract labor or a contract guy versus if you worked for Parks Department. If you were an employee of the Parks Department with a trails manager job, with the job of making events and all this stuff, it's, I don't know, that's one thing. This is you trying to make money for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives me
More motivating, for sure,
Yep, more motivating.
for sure.
And I think that it's, as long as the contract things are laid out, I think could work out well.
Yep.
Well, if you guys wanted, I don't have a problem if you guys want to approve the contract as it is, but I think we have to, if we are going to do that, if anybody does want to make the motion to do that as it is, we need to know what that change is going to be exactly.
It's in, I've already done it in Dropbox. I guess I just forgot to delete the old one and then put the new one in.
Okay.
It basically just says TGF also agrees to pay ESPRC 10% of its gross revenue from shuttle passes for LLBP operations.
Oh, shuttle.
Yeah,
Pass.
so it's,
Yeah.
just so it specifies that the park here is what I pay you guys for.
I want to
I
make
also
sure.
wanted to lower prices, maybe see if that helps bring out more people. We did raise the prices to $40 under STG. I'd like to bring them back down to 30 and see if that helps bring more people to the park. So that will affect that 10%.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think it'll bring more people in the long run.
yeah. I think that'll be more like a you and I thing. I mean,
Sorry.
yeah. But
Anybody else have any
I'm cool with that.
thoughts on this, or just go through no more discussion? Anybody?
Oh, I do have one more question. So you mentioned it, but I wanted to say it out loud to remind ourselves. So at the last meeting, we did allow ourselves to go to the end of the year with whatever.
Yeah, we're just going to
So-
do,
So we really don't have to vote on this today if anybody's uncomfortable.
right.
Make sure we know that. But we can. We don't have to. This is not the kind of thing that has to go before a bid
Yeah, yeah.
proposal or something like
No,
that. Just want to make sure that's
No, because
clear.
it's money coming in.
Right. I want to make sure
to us.
that's
I mean,
clear
it's
to
not like-
people. Right.
Yeah,
This doesn't have to go through any procedures or anything like that. This is the procedure for this kind of document.
yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was said out loud.
Is there a city attorney of any kind that reviews these things, contracts?
Forrest, yeah. And I sent him the previous one that I sent to,
Yeah,
you know,
this is basically
from the
just a
previous
repeat of the
user.
Same thing we
contract.
had last time.
Only different names, only the names have been changed, different
Yeah.
tags.
Yeah, I mean, I took out a few things, but they're all like things that, you know, it got kind of granular in terms of like telling Nick how he should run his business. And I'm like, we don't need to
No.
get into that. So
Yeah.
it's basically just between the relationship between us, not how he's doing his.
I see that this could go two ways, and I'm just going to, as chair, present this to you guys. Either we can go ahead and, if everybody feels comfortable with the way the contract is worded, and we can, you guys go ahead and make a motion to approve this contract as written and go ahead with it. Or if you feel like you'd rather have more time to read it and review it and understand what it does differently than what we're doing today, then we have time before the end of the year to do it for the next year. So it's up to you guys one way or the other.
Is there an advantage or a disadvantage to not deciding or deciding today versus
Trying to
next
buy a
month?
house. I'm trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't affect my life at all. I mean, the person who would have an answer, probably Nick, you know, is there something that would,
No,
Does it
other than
affect
buying
your-
a house.
He's trying to buy a
Oh,
house.
other than
And-
buying-
I'm really trying to buy a house.
And the
Like, I just- I
contract
don't
sort of
know
helps him,
if
probably.
Well, you are working out there, though,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah, he's
shuttle
currently
still.
doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Currently doing it. There's just no contractual relationship that,
that was my question. So, you know, if we do not approve this today, how does that affect the next 6 to 8 weeks until the contract goes into place? Is it detrimental to us in the community, or are we already in a position that it's being taken care of by who we are already looking at the contract? So then it just comes down to, are we okay with the wording of the contract? And then we can put it into play immediately. Was that
Yes.
accurate? So,
Ultimately,
so nothing would be changing. We're sort of in the same position for the next 6 to 8 weeks with
Not paying.
how it's being run. This is just going to put it into a formal,
yeah.
okay, then, I mean,
Yeah, and I'm looking at it, and I just don't,
I read through it while we've been sitting here, and I'm fine with it.
yeah, that's sort of what my thought is too, and it helps
With-
us get this.
What about the termination? Is there anything that, I don't see anything that says if this isn't working out for us, how to terminate it. I mean, there's life-changing,
Yeah, I think there was 2 or 3 places in here
yeah,
that
it says.
mentions it.
Where did it say it?
I think it's the second sentence, reserves the right to approve or deny the request.
Yeah.
So that takes care of the whole thing.
oh, okay.
Payments that are delayed by more than 30 days will result in automatic termination of the contract.
and I didn't want to put anything in there that was just like, hey, if we're not happy, we're going to cancel it.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't give him much security.
Yeah.
If there's like a
Should be a
reason,
notice.
like if he's not paying or if he gets injured or, you know, something happens where he can't operate, then we can do that. But, I mean, if it was like a 5-year contract, I would say, yeah, we would need to do like periodic performance appraisals. But
Okay.
as it stands right now, it only runs till the end of 2025. So it's kind of like,
All right.
you know.
Gotcha.
I want to at least give him that much of a guarantee.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's got the financial in there, it's got injury, it's got inability to complete the duties. All those things are written in there, so it seems pretty clear.
All right, so. What do y'all
one
think?
second.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Number 8 is, I just want to be clear about that one, just so you guys know. Essentially what it boils down to is we're not preventing anyone from having events on the downhill trails. We are open to other people doing it, but we want to make sure, since Nick's job is heavily dependent on the usage of those trails, that he's at least made aware and that he has sort of like a first dibs right to be the contractor for that event, so that he's not losing out. Because if we have to shut the trails down for an event, and then someone comes in and is like, hey, we're going to have our own shuttles and we don't need him, and he's gone on a like he basically gets out of business on a Saturday in October, like that's a big hit for him. So we want to protect that for.
But it still says that it's our decision to ask him.
Yeah, so long as we ask him like 2 months in advance, and, you know, and then we would have to hopefully provide some sort of, it gets a little convoluted, but I don't think we're going to really run into that
It's
issue.
not a situation that probably would happen, but it could
Yeah.
happen. And then you got to know what you do if it did happen.
Yeah,
And again, Nick's been out, it's not his first rodeo out there. I'm sure things have come up that you've had to talk about and discuss, and you know what's going to happen in the future, or an idea of things that might, so I don't see that being a problem. It can't be dealt with.
because a lot of it's just like TGF agrees.
Right.
It's like, but what are we?
What are we agreeing?
You know, he's got some requests for us too, I'm sure, so.
Yeah. I agree. All right.
If Sam is happy with it and it's been reviewed by our attorney, then I don't see why we can't approve it.
Okay. I'm ready to make a motion, so I'd love to get this, like
Make it.
Aaron said.
Do you guys,
Do you have wording you want us to say?
well, sort of, kind of. I just want to make sure that, I mean, I've said it a few times. I guess you could just say, or we just say,
That's it.
make sure you amend the first thing on, number
Okay.
1, which it's already amended in Dropbox. And then also just set when do you guys want the contract to begin, I guess is another question, so.
It seems to me that it would make sense for the contract to begin on January 1st,
January 1st?
just to have a 2025 contract. Or,
Okay.
I mean, to me, I mean, that doesn't hurt him because it gives him a year contract.
Yeah, we can just keep doing what we're doing until.
Yeah, because it's the
that time.
winter time anyway.
Okay, cool.
That's
So
true.
y'all think? I mean, y'all make your own motion, whatever you want it to be.
No, you're
but
right, it's wintertime.
That's just my thought.
I've got to get, there's wintertime is different from the rest of the year anyway. Or it's supposed to be wintertime out there. I was barefoot today,
Right.
so I don't know.
Oh, my.
Okay. I move that we approve the proposed contract with the addition to our paper copy, though Dropbox does have it, of the 10% of its gross revenue from shuttle passes from LLBP operations. To make the Gravity Feed the exclusive shuttle provider for Lake Leatherwood Bike Park, effective
January 1st.
February 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025?
Correct.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Ruth, second by Beth. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0.
You're doing great, Aaron.
And I'll help later if you need help on that. Okay, so now we're on the Miners Rock Overlook Connector Trail.
Yeah, so this is just one of those things where I think we sort of loosely said, hey, anything that affects the map, anything that would change the map is something that the commission would have to approve. That would be trail renames or trail reroutes that are big enough to where we would want to get new maps made up. I don't know how familiar you guys are with that kind of side of the park in terms of the trails, but Miners Rock Trail goes down and it just shoots you into the road right there by the tunnel. Yeah, and then then you have to go down and kind of cross the road for a second. It's always just been one of those things. I mean, it was definitely on my list when I was the trails manager, coordinator, whatever, to fix that, and I didn't get the chance to. So it's a big one though. It should be really cool. I mean, not big in terms of the amount of trail to build, but just the connectivity. It's going to really enhance the park and make it just a much more seamless. We're trying to like make it to where, you know, we have the downhill trails, but we really want to make Leatherwood a place where you can come and ride, you know, 20 miles and have it feel like one of those IMBA epic trail systems where you're never really seeing the road. You're out there in the woods. It's beautiful and yeah, and it's just safer and takes you up to a beautiful spot. You know, Molde Hollow is gorgeous back there. So
Okay, is there any downside to this? Is there any negative impact to anything or anybody?
no, I mean Jeff's really good about. He's done a lot of research and has done his homework in terms of being able to identify trees that we obviously want to avoid. So he calls himself the Carolina buckthorn and cedar grim reaper, you know, but he avoids all the dogwoods and the ashes and the red buds as much as possible. I mean, obviously sometimes there's just times when you can't avoid it, but they're usually tiny trees. I mean, as a trail builder before working for parks, is like, that's one of the first things you do is you walk through and you try to identify all the trees that are, you know, protected or of importance, good for the ecosystem, and then you wind the trail around that. You obviously don't want to take out big trees because they're a pain in the butt to take out, and they hold a lot of soil and retention, all that. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm dorking out.
And technically, you have the natural resources plan in place.
Exactly.
To kind of guide you,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
another thing
So-
too, and Jeff knows that.
And what is the length of this? The length?
We don't know exactly, but it's around 2,000 feet, I'd say. Maybe. I mean,
So it's not a great amount.
yeah, and a lot of it's pretty easy build because they'll just be going up Molde Hollow Trail. And then another part of it is we want to connect a small section called, I think it's called Lucky Loop, or some people call it the Nika Loop. It never really got an official name, but you can see it. I don't know why this printed black and white. It had color on it before, but there's a little section we want to connect in so that users can go and explore the other mile or so of Miners Rock Trail, but then still reconnect back into the loop trail.
Oh, yeah.
Because that section of Miners Rock has just gotten kind of forgotten because it's such a commitment. If you go that way, there's not
Is
a
it
way to
right
get
there?
back to where you.
Is it right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
That little,
Little bitty small?
yeah, I mean, that's like 150 feet, and it would just allow you to come back to the loop trail.
Okay.
Mine's in color.
You got color?
I brought it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
printed it off the box.
I'll pass this around if Mama B don't mind.
I bet.
So you can see the two little red marks is where the trail reroutes are being proposed.
I love the fact that it's not going to dump right into the road on that dark, down, sharp grade.
Yeah.
Even when I stop in my Jeep and I look both ways, I'm still scared to go because I just,
Yeah. It's always been sketchy. I mean, especially on a mountain bike or something, you're just like, and you shoot into the road.
Yeah, we did lose our little color parts on this, didn't we?
Did you get a color one? No, they're all black and white.
Isn't that strange?
Oh, got it. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong area. Okay.
is there a time that Miners Rock is not very busy with bikes?
I mean, pretty much any weekday. Yeah.
Weekdays?
I mean, the downhill
I
trails
used
might
to
have
love to
people on them,
hike
but
up there,
you can.
but
Yeah.
kind of hesitate.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can avoid all the mountain bike
But it
trails
did
as
help
far as.
to see.
I mean, they're all
You could still
the
get up
downhill
there.
trails. It is.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Okay.
with the flyovers and all that. So.
All right. So just to be clear, what you're asking from the commission is permission to do these connector trails?
Yeah, to do these two additions to the trail system. I don't know if I call them additions because, you know, as we build this, we're going to take away trail in the process. Like,
The rerouting.
yeah, if we rerouted this way, then we're gonna, like, we'll cover this up and it'll go back to being whatever, unused, so renaturalized.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, I'm just to be clear, so if we make a motion, I want to make sure
Yeah.
we word it properly, and that we're saying what you're asking for, is that you want to,
oh, I didn't put a suggestion
Yeah.
motion there, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say maybe, I move that we approve the 2 proposed trail modifications at Lake Weatherwood City Park.
Question,
Yeah,
will we have names for those connectors?
we will, but we're still a little bit deciding. I think it'll be Miners Rock Trail all the way down to Molday Hollow,
Okay,
and then a little addition to Molday Hollow, and then, well, Overlook's already there. We're still kind of working on that, but, it'll take a while to build that, so.
yeah,
once
okay.
we-
okay.
I would recommend, whoever wants to make a motion, that we use
I'm ready.
wording specifically naming this, so where you say the next step is to connect the Overlook Trail and the Miners Rock Trail via usage of Mulliday Hollow. At least then we are very specifically naming the trails, and in 3 years from now, in the minutes, somebody can go back and see when we approved that,
Okay.
and the trails are listed. How about, does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, and I did talk with Jeff about this too, and I think moving forward, we wanted to get this moving because he's already got it mapped out on the CalTopo and all this stuff, but I think maybe like in the December or January meeting, what I'd like to do is just present an actual trails master plan for Lake Weatherwood to say, hey, do you guys approve of this?
been a
And
while.
that way we're not having
Been a
to
while
come
since
with
we've
these
done
real nitpicky things.
Yeah,
And we'll have the
I-
names already settled and,
Yeah, that'd be good too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea in the motion to actually say Overlook Trail and Miners Rock and Mulliday Hollow. I mean, just because, who knows? Next year, somebody go, we didn't say we could do that. And you're like, yeah, we kind of did right here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's my thought on it.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2 proposed trail modifications at Lake Leatherwood connecting Overlook Trail and the Miners Rock Trail via usage of Mulliday Hollow.
Second,
Motion by Aaron, second by Rod. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right. All right, and for
So we
the,
have another smaller connector trail?
Oh,
for the granddaddy
I think we need to make another motion for the second.
is review of 2025 budget.
hell that guy. Hell that guy.
We need to add to that motion, or make another motion, to also approve the small connector trail that will connect 2 portions of Minor Rock and Minor Rock Loop and provide better connectivity. That's the second little,
Oh, you're right.
Oh. Well, I think we'll make a second motion, and if you want to, do you
I
want to?
just did.
Oh, you did, was that, oh, let's say, wait, let's say
Second.
it in the form of a motion then,
It's so
okay?
professional.
Wait,
It's
wait,
really
wait.
good.
Hang 1 second, please.
We don't want to move off of that if we're not ready. I didn't know there was 2 parts to it.
So it'll be a second motion.
yes.
Okay.
To add a small connector trail that will connect 2 portions of Miners Rock Trail and Miners Rock Loop.
Okay.
Second,
Motion by Beth, second by Rod. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0, and that one, say that's the second part of item 4 in new business. Okay. Now we can move to the discussion on budget for 2025.
Yeah, obviously, we don't have to, I don't think really we have to approve the 2025 budget until February, but I just wanted to give you guys a glance at it. I mean, it's pretty similar in a lot of regards to 2024, but there's a few things that are slightly different. So obviously, we're doing different, bigger projects, But other than that, it's pretty much,
Yeah.
it is similar, so.
What I would say, Sam, because this is, budget talks are important, and they're key for what happens next year, and so I would say that our next workshop should be dedicated to budget, just going through this specifically,
Yeah.
going through any things that are not on here that we hope to be able to do next year, but we're not putting in the budget. I kind of liked, I don't know, Ruth can probably talk to this too, but I kind of like this approach that we've had where we budget our operations and we make sure all that's going well. And then as we have a big project or something that comes through the year, we budget that at the time based on what reserves we have, based on what revenue stream is coming in, so that we're not over budgeting more than our revenue.
Yeah, I like the way it's been.
And I think we've done a great job this year and paid attention to it and not got crazy. Sam has done an amazing job keeping our budget. I think it's actually much lower than the year before, I think, in terms of that. So, but I'd like us to have a really good workshop on budget, next budget, and then by the end of December, which will be our final meeting for the year, we go ahead and approve the budget for 2025 and be done. Not wait till
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
Does anybody
awesome.
have any thoughts on that?
I
And in
agree.
the meantime, you can be looking at this that Sam has put together. If there's anything that you want to specifically tell us to look at.
No, I mean, yeah, we didn't even really have to talk about it, but I wanted to make sure you guys had a copy
Okay.
at least.
Yeah,
so-
because it seems, we're doing good in that. And, one of the things that, so much of our budget is dependent on forecasted sales taxes, obviously, right? And tourism, which is what brings that, and forecasted sales and lodging and stuff at Leatherwood. So we want to make sure that we're staying within.
We're very tourism-based as far as
And it matters. It matters.
how we bring in our money.
So we don't want to be the commission that spends more than we have. So we want to always stay in the black. But I would say our next meeting, which is our workshop, which would be December the 2nd? No, 3rd? December the 3rd. We'd be prepared to really talk about budget, and Sam come to us with any thoughts about what you want us to be looking at for big projects too.
Yeah, and that'll help too, because we'll have the end of the year finances to go
Yeah,
over for
we'll have-
2024, which will kind of help steer
Yeah.
the direction.
And then our final meeting will be the 17th of December for the year. And we can hopefully approve the budget by then. I mean, worst case scenario, we could do it in January if we're not prepared, but I don't think we're that complicated. I think should be able to do it. Everybody feel good about that?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm seeing all kinds
Yes.
of nods. Okay, cool. And then the last item here, we have commissioner comments. Beth, you have anything?
Not today.
Aaron?
Nope, not at this time.
Ruth?
I do have to say, after mentioning taxes, that I'm thankful that we still have the CAPC tax situation.
Thank you.
Thank you for the electors who decided that was the right thing to go, right thing to do. That's what I want to say. And I wanted to reiterate also what Sam said about baseball. I'm so excited baseball's back. Appreciate all the support.
Absolutely. I hear lots of people excited about it too.
Ruth, you took the words out of my mouth. Thank you.
Sorry.
Ms. Mitchell?
I have some information, but maybe it should wait for the workshop about Lake Leatherwood.
Yeah, we just remind me that we want to talk about it.
Okay.
All right. And then the final thing is adjournment. And do I have a motion?
I move that we adjourn.
I will second.
Motion by Ruth, second by Beth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I almost want to object just for the